Okay. Is it legal in a high school anywhere, not just Illinois, unless it's specified, but it's not going to be because of, it's just not going to be. So, look, I know people frequently use the word legal. There's not going to be much that isn't legal when it comes to what goes on inside of a school as far as supervision, how much is required, safety, things of that, because so much latitude is provided to the school, similar to the latitude that's provided to a parent, okay? And I don't know how long you've been a member of the group, but, I don't know, maybe it was in the spring. I go through these cycles of what I hyper-focus on. And so there's a Latin legal concept called in loco parentis, and in loco parentis has to do with the, if you want to call it, the physical transfer, if you will, of your parental rights the minute you drop off your child or the minute the child steps onto the school campus, that the parental rights go with the child and are in the possession of the school system during the time that your child is at school. Well, what's happened over the years is mission creep is what I call it. It's a real term. I didn't create it, but I'm using it and applying it in the form of the schools because it has the same problem that the military does and that the police do when it comes to not reining in and clearly defining the role of the government institution. It's going to naturally want to creep and assume and gather more power and responsibilities. And that's why it's the role of our legislature and our Congress to sit there and clearly define the roles of government agencies so that they don't encroach into areas that is not specified and is not theirs. So this concept of in loco parentis, where the school assumes the role of parent, to where you possess the rights, and the reason that is that children do not have the same rights as a citizen in this country because of their age. And so until they reach the age of majority, which is 18 or 19, depending on the state, even though they can vote at 18, things like that, some states it's 19. So because of that, they're juveniles, they're minors, and therefore the parent has primacy and responsibility. Well, when the child goes to school, those rights transfer over to, and they're in safekeeping with the school. And so that's why in some states they're allowed corporal punishment, all right, like spanking the child, just like a parent would, okay? They don't necessarily have to give you permission. They can, be responsible for discipline. Your child, they can search your child's locker. They have very limited rights to privacy, very limited rights to speech, things of that nature, because they're acting as a role of parent. And then, of course, when your child goes home, those rights go with your child, and the school doesn't have those responsibilities anymore. At the same time, be it with social media and things of that nature, we're finding that this concept of in loco parentis has expanded to where, and also mandatory reporting, to where the role of school is now taking the one, what's it called? There's another Latin legal term. I think it's called parens patriae, meaning the parent of the country, and or parent of the state, meaning that they're basically babysitting you too. Mandatory reporting. They're monitoring your children's social media, and they can sit there and be charged. They can be disciplined at school for the things that they do outside of school. So those concepts are very important when answering this question because, at that point, because they're sort of acting as the role of parent, they're given a lot of latitude as to what kind of supervision they provide. Now, am I saying it's right? I'm just saying it's not illegal. Now, if something were to happen, then of course, then there's some questions on liability. And, that's what the school should always be guarding against. And if your child's being bullied and it's happening in a locker room, then I can tell you, depending on what the law is in Illinois, you need to just Google. There's going to be a list. If you Google anti-bullying legislation, then it's going to have all the states that you'll be able to, in a booklet or in a PDF. And then you'll be able to know what the anti-bullying legislation is or law is in Illinois. But most states have adopted the reporting rule to where you need to use their form and you need to put it on their form. And if your child has a disability or is in a protected class, then you need to specify that as the root cause or reason your child's being bullied. You need to make sure it's in writing. You need to make sure a principal has a copy and the superintendent has a copy, both of them, because then that puts them on notice. They have to do something about it. They have to investigate. It becomes a part of your child's record. So at that point, they've got to do something more than just listen to you. So when you're reporting bullying, you gotta use their form, or you gotta put it in an official format. You gotta make sure that multiple people have it, because of how Every Student Succeeds Act is written, how these things could potentially be reported and ding the school with regards to their report card. There's just a whole lot of complexity there. Now, what I want to know is what a junior leader is. I don't know how old the junior leader is. If it's another student, then that's a heck of a lot of responsibility to put on a student, that then could potentially come back and hurt the school because they're the parent role. They're the responsible party. So that's how I would deal with it. Just put them on notice and make sure that you put everything in writing and make sure the superintendent is aware, and make sure that you specify if your child is in a protected class, either by disability, ethnicity, religion, gender, preference. I mean, it doesn't matter. Any of those protected statuses as being the reason or root cause why your child is being bullied. Also, the Office of Civil Rights deals with things like this as well. Okay, so you would just need to Google where your Office of Civil Rights location is, and in Illinois, I'm imagining it's in Chicago. Okay, hope that helped.